It's another episode of the Instant Film Project where I use chalk pastel to draw on top of polaroids I've taken to extend their stories. So I have always loved the aesthetic of cars, but of course, having grown up in big cities, I have never learned to drive, unfortunately. Um, it keeps being on my to-do list, but it always sort of something else comes in and the priority goes down. But I would love to drive, and I love the aesthetic of cars. One of the earliest pieces of artwork that I've actually bought is a photograph of a car. um, this is a Porsche that I saw, a very retro Porsche that I saw with a wing. I think that's what it's called, anyways. And I knew that I wanted to put two animals into the drawing, but I wasn't really quite sure what animals until I was just on the phone this morning with a friend, and she was like, "Oh, what about seagulls?" And I was like, "Yes, let's do seagulls." Partly because they're so cheeky and kind of vicious. If you've ever seen them trying to steal your food and fight with you for your food. But yeah, so two seagulls. That's sort of what I had in mind for this. And seagulls are actually great and not something that I draw often because they're white in color, and so it's quite challenging to draw a white object animal with chalk pastel on top of a white background. So with a dark background on having being able to draw on top of this photo, I can actually draw seagulls. So this is the first time that I've drawn a seagull with chalk pastel, but a long time ago, actually, when I was doing art classes in Canada, I remember I actually did an oil painting of a seagull. That didn't go very well. I got yelled at for using too much paint, applying it too thickly, and then um, my art teacher got pissed off because it was a waste of pigment. Um, but anyways, so there's sort of a story for another time. But you can see here the you can see, if you've been following my channel, you know that I can do quite detailed pen drawings, but with sketches and thumbnails, I think the point is that it's a bit messy, so I can experiment with it a bit more. So for example, if you see the bird on that's looking upwards with a wing out, if I were to draw it very neatly, like it would look nicer, but at the same time, I wouldn't be able to experiment with how far that wing extends. So you can see the scribbliness from that actually is an experimentation of how far I want that wing to extend. And you can see in the chalk pastel drawing that I did, I first put in a layer of white to mark out the area and to give it a bit of a ground, or else it's going to look too transparent. And then I added in a bit of other different colors to give it a bit more of a subtlety, a little bit more of the dark areas, even though it's not pitch black, obviously. So then I'm sort of slowly adding in the beaks. I think this is a bit of a challenging uh, drawing because the white doesn't have enough coverage to give it that very solid uh, drawing ground. You can still see a bit of the darks coming through. Um, I would have liked it to be a bit more graphic, but you can see me like slowly adding in more of the chalk pastels to give it that solidity and to make sure that it's not sort of like a translucent figure. So I'm adding in the browns, starting to slowly build it back up from the whites, adding in the darker midtones, and then after that you can see me adding in the blacks. So the title of this art piece is called Get In. What was it? Get In. It's the getaway car, which I love. Um, Having moved a few times, and especially moving from New York to London, there are definitely times when I would have liked to pack them and go. Um, so this piece is sort of, I would say, very fun, joyful, and there's a lot of energy to it. It's your friends pulling up when you're having a bad day and get in. It's a getaway car, and you hop on and you have a nice day out at the beach, or you have a nice day out at the Hamptons, somewhere fun. Um, so yeah, there it is. I find that people really love the bright orange ground. It's so unexpected. Um, I want to say it feels a little like Basquiat's paintings, which, as you know, is one of my inspirations. The East Village canon in general. Um, and it's a great color block. That little sketchy vibe, and it sort of reminds me of the beach as well, like that bright orange red tone. So here it is, the final piece. It may still be available on my website. Do check it out. See you soon.